So, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you so much for taking out time and joining us for this webinar. In this webinar, I and Seema will discuss various adverse effects of COVID-19 on travel and related industry, as well as COVID-19 started in China in December. So it is more than 1 year of COVID-19, and today let's retrospect on the entire situation. We will discuss how companies have been impacted and how COVID-19 permanently changed the way people work and do businesses. So first, let me introduce Seema. Seema Saxena is the owner of the Urban Villas Resort in Rajasthan, and she is the Director of Sales and Marketing of Jannat Tourism in Dubai. So welcome, Seema. Welcome.
Thank you, Abhishek. So I would also like to introduce you since we two are the speakers here only. So Mr. Abhishek Prasoon is working as a senior project manager in Coforge Limited, and he's been working in IT industry in 17 years. So why we have chosen this combo? Because I have an expertise in travel industry and he has an expertise in IT industry. So that's the reason this combo you will see in next 20-25 minutes, we'll be talking about the travel industry and IT industry and the impact of COVID on both the industries parallelly. So Abhishek, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So Seema, you are a part of industry and that has faced some major repercussion due to COVID-19. So please share your thoughts about the unprecedented impacts of the pandemic on the tourism industry.
So Abhishek, in my opinion, I think all the industries got impacted. Some has impacted on a large scale, some has impacted, but the impact was there overall. Having said that, the travel and tourism industry is the most affected industry, and it is still bleeding because it will still take time to get recovered. So largely speaking, when the coronavirus has impacted in 2020 January, it has impacted the large number of people, and across the globe, as per World Health Organization report, that many of the people got impacted because it's so contagious that within a span of a couple of months, it has spread all across the globe. There were many other viruses in past also, but nobody has ever thought this would last. It is lasting even after the vaccines are in the picture. So travel and tourism industry, I would say, if I need to give you the background, how does this contribute to the Indian economy? 9.2% of the entire GDP comes from travel and tourism economy alone. So we can see that the industry has a huge impact on economy, while it's a service industry, and service industry is made up with the people, and without people, it is like for example, in IT industry, you can still have a scope to work from home, and you can still have your meetings. But travel industry, one has to travel. If there is no travel, there is no revenue. So entirely, if the industry, if I'm talking about socially, economically, on all the aspects, it is hit hard. And it's still in coma, I would say. It is. We are trying to recover, but it still take time. So, so having said that, there was a recession came into the picture. People are depressed because they are losing their jobs. So I'm losing an employment opportunity. I would be discussing it later. Here, I would like to ask you that. How your industry has got impacted, because somewhere it is related to IT is something which is related to each and every industry by itself. So would you like to say something on this, Abhishek?
Yes, sure, Seema. So COVID-19 had a huge impact on IT industry. Initially, it had a very bad impact as a lot of running projects were stopped all of a sudden. And due to the uncertain situation, companies stopped executing new projects. They stopped pushing money in the projects. It was a worst for the companies, especially dependent on travel industry. So overnight, thousands and thousands of employees moved to the bench and were eventually fired. Many highly skilled people were jobless. According to BBC, around 120 million people lost their job in just 1 month. This data is from April 2020.
That is entirely IT industry, right?
Yeah. So it was a very scary situation. People started working for 15, 16 hours to save their job and invested their spare time in upskilling themselves. Many small companies were shut down because they could not afford their operational cost. And this brings me to the actually next question, Seema. So how did COVID-19 change tourism employment and human resources?
See, as I told you earlier, tourism is a major contributor in Indian economy, if we are talking about India as per se. So if we talk about employment sector, 12.7% of the total jobs are being created from tourism alone, which is directly or indirectly affected. So while this COVID had happened, 5.5% people, which is around 35 million people, have lost their job. Many of the employees, they have faced the salary cuts. They did not had any idea that what to do. I would say none of the company would have ever thought that this kind of situation would come into the picture. Every company has a contingency funds for their employees, but for how long? So that was the question. So, these harsh actions or harsh calls had to taken to by the employers to remove their employees, to cut their salaries. So overall, as an economy, be it smaller companies or larger companies, the impact was really bad. And still, I would say, many talented people, many skilled laborers are unemployed. They're still looking for a job. They're looking for alternate in their career, that whether they can switch it to any other industry. So that's the harsh truth of COVID being impacted in the travel and tourism industry. So since we are talking about IT industry also, do you think it is overcoming lately with the impact of COVID?
Yes, Seema. So after the initial 6 months of glitch, the situation started improving. Due to COVID-19, many new business ideas emerged and eventually converted into projects. Need for application and softwares gradually increased, so people could manage the processes and perform their tasks remotely. Companies started getting new projects in the middle of pandemic. To be honest, the IT industry saw a gradual improvement during the last 2 quarters. So, Seema, was the industry and 19?
See, it did change the human behavior when the lockdown was announced. The country's border was sealed, cities were standstill, flights were grounded, cruise ships were docked. There was a new mantra called as social distancing. So all these things were happening. So since the few countries have opened their borders, for example, Maldives, Dubai, so tourism has started. Even domestic point of view, people have started traveling, but not to that extent. Talking about change in consumer behavior, I would say people are preferring to travel within their own country because they feel safe and secure. Second, most important aspect which people are looking for, which like for Indians were not very really focused on, like health, hygiene, and safety issues. So now, whenever they are talking about holidays, their first concern is whether the place is safe, whether the hotels are hygienic, whether it is sanitized properly or not. Second, I would say hospitality industry particularly will see the technological changes which will come into the picture. For example, like recently I had traveled to Udaipur and I've stayed in Ananta. So I saw their reservation system has gone purely touchless. And even the check-in was so stream and without any touches. And the hotel hygiene was up to the mark. So my concern before traveling was that whether the hotel is hygiene. I prefer traveling by road trip. That is another change that we would be looking at. That road trips will come into the picture. because people want to be in a safe environment, and they think that they'll be traveling by their own vehicle. It would be much that is another thing. People would not like to travel in a group now. They would want to travel alone and would prefer the personalized travel as compared to group travel. Especially when Indians travel to abroad, they generally like middle-aged people or a senior citizen, they prefer to travel in a group. But after COVID, I would say that this might change. Very important thing which generally Indian travelers ignore is getting a travel insurance when they are traveling. So like being a travel professional, we always recommend to our guests that you should always travel with the insurance, but people used to ignore it. But we are traveling in domestic, we are traveling to Dubai only, what would happen? But now I think travel insurance would play a major role in this era of COVID, I would say. So again, I would like to ask you one more question, Abhishek, that how COVID has changed the way of business and work in your industry, or in general, I would say.
So, there are a lot of change in the IT industry. Work from home is new norm now. Earlier, we saw it as an option, and people still working from home. And many IT companies like TCS and Infosys have decided to make 85% of their workforce work remotely. So this is a permanent arrangement, and I see this is in future work from home will permanently adopted by many more industry. Companies are investing heavily in infrastructure and information security so that people do not face any challenges while working remotely. Now people are ready to accept short-term projects and temporary assignments. Many people have even changed their job profile due to changes in the demand of work. For example, people from direct marketing shifted to digital marketing as the need of the hour. Such changes can be seen in the every aspect of the life. And COVID, like vaccine is also came. The vaccination program of India is already in progress, but due to our vast population, it will take years to vaccinate every person. So according to Barclays research, by the year end, only 32% of population would be protected from the virus. People are afraid to commute and come to the office. But I think nowadays, COVID-19 cases are increasing again, and many countries have implemented lockdown again. But I think things will be like improve in the coming future. Let's hope for the best. So, Seema, what is your like how things are working in our travel industry? It's the same or it's a little different?
So we have introduced something called new normal. New normal is nothing but the way how the people are changing their ways of travel, how the business is taking charge on reducing the business travel. So let's start with how the companies are reducing the business travel. If I'm talking about business travel, if a person is traveling for a meeting purpose or conferences or for any other work related purpose, so I think the video conferencing has taken an important role, such as Zoom meeting, Microsoft Team. So these things have taken an important role in during the lockdown, because majority of the meetings were happening through Zoom. And especially if I'm talking about India, none of the people have ever thought that this kind of situation will come when in-person meeting will not be there for like 8 to 9 months. People are sitting at home, there are lockdown announces, you can't travel. So that is one important thing. And as per global agency Swell, they 66% of the business worldwide, they had taken the step that they would not be any business travel in near future in order to save their funds, because of this COVID, companies have faced really bad financial losses. So that is one step that they will be taking in order to safeguard their finances. Another thing is that when you talk about travel industry, So MICE is like, which is meeting, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions, is a majority of the people. I mean, the major chunk of the tourism comes from this. The revenue comes from this. But since there is a social distancing, lockdown, now people, I mean, the countries are easing out. However, still there are still many big conferences, meetings got cancelled. I would like to give you an example of Arabian Travel Mart, which happens in Dubai every year in the month of April, which got postponed already. So this is just one example. There are many such events which are getting postponed or cancelled due to this. Okay, because we cannot have so many people at one place, and these meetings and conferences have so much of gathering at one place. So that's why we are restricting, or the government itself is restricting such kind of meetings and conference. Next, I would say, as I told you earlier also, that group travel will definitely shrink because of the same reason, the COVID restrictions. So people will prefer to travel in personalized holidays rather than traveling in a group, because they'll be knowing that they are around with their own people, especially when they're staying in hotel, when they're traveling. So that is one of the reasons where we can see the fall in group tours. Uh, in India, there are around 70 million students. They travel, they go abroad for the studies. So even the study overseas travel for the students will also go down, because the classes are happening online. People, I mean, the countries are not allowing student to come in. So another major chunk, and talking about student, it gives the major chunk of foreign exchange also, which is again related industry from travel and tourism. So since people are not traveling, the exchange is not happening. The main thing which will come into the picture is, I think, tourism industry in point of domestic. If we talk about tourism, it is divided into three parts. One is domestic, where Indians or any other citizens travel to their own country. That is domestic. Inbound is when the foreigners come to India, and outbound is when an Indian travel to abroad. That is the three major criteria of any tourism business. So in my opinion, the domestic business will rise definitely, because the countries are feel many of the countries are not allowing, they are not issuing visas, they're not allowing people to get in. Tourism is not, they are not promoting tourism as of now. For example, New Zealand, they have restricted tourism long back, and still they are not allowing people to in. It is with many countries, for example. In that scenario, the urge of traveling would never die. So people want to travel after 6-7 months of lockdown. So they are exploring places which is near to them, which they can travel to by road. So that's why the domestic tourism will increase. Air travel will become more expensive, I would say. That's in my opinion. After studying the reports and all, it might, the rates might go up. Luxury hotels might reduce the cost, their tariffs might go down. And as I said earlier, that the road trips would be in favor. So another thing I would like to ask Abhishek is there any positive impact of COVID in your industry or in your personal life?
Yeah, sure. So I have seen many specialized job opportunities emerge in the middle of the pandemic. IT jobs related to emerging technologies like cloud, artificial intelligence, RPA, automation are flourishing in the market. It is very clear that whatever work, whether you work from home or it's a far continent, it's the same thing. So we got many new projects from Europe and US. Indian companies got many new projects last year. So now there are a lot of new job opportunities available in the market, especially in IT sector. Many new things like COVID also changed me personally. So like many new things were new to me as an agile practitioner. I felt that the in-person interaction is very necessary for the smooth execution of the project. But due to COVID-19, it was not possible. It gave me virtual way of doing same things which we used to do personally. Now we do not expect people to be available all the time on the computer. Instead, that expectation of on meeting the responsibilities. I'm working from home from more than 1 year now. Learn to balance between personal and professional life. How to manage your family time and how to manage your professional life. So these are the learnings of COVID-19. So I think I hope you also learned many things during COVID-19. So
Yes,
would you like to share those?
yeah, I had experienced COVID. I was in Dubai when this COVID had started, and I've seen people just falling on the street and they're getting infected, and how the business is declining at a very large scale, because the company where I work in, the major clientele is Chinese, and China is a place where it has started all over. So yeah, I have seen it. Then I returned back to India, and during that period, I had decided, right, like I was contemplating that what to do next, because the tourism industry is declining. What is going to happen? The career was at stake, and many things. I think the same situation would have been with every tourism professional which I had faced. So I had decided to open a resort in Rajasthan, which I would say was a very tough call for me at that point of time. And I was contemplating whether it's the right time or not. However, now today I can say that it was a correct time when I had taken this opportunity and I had opened my resort. And with God grace, it is running very good. So with this, I got one learning that come what may the situation is, we should never fail in life. We should always try. We should always try to get successful, and time will come wherein you will get your desired goals. So yeah, COVID is not, of course it has damaged many industries and so on, but there were positive impacts also. Looking at the tourism point of view, we will see that in shorter duration of time, to domestic tourism will increase, and in longer duration, inbound tourism will also grow. So overall, in Indian economy, you will see the boom, and tourism will be continuing maybe more than 9.2% GDP, what it was contributing in 2018 or 2019. So that's how it is related. And I think with this, let's conclude it. And I would like to convey this message to all the tourism professionals that it's time for patience. Let's be patient and wait for the right time. The industry has already started picking up, and very soon we will come back on our feet. So Abhishek, would you like to add on something?
Yeah, sure. So COVID-19 has been an unfortunate blot on your life. It brought us a long lot of loss and misery. But on the contrary, it also brought along some major improvements in our work culture. So it provided a chance for masses to be self-dependent, tech-savvy, and work on their personal growth. So I think COVID-19 had some positive impact also. So yeah, so I would like to if anybody from a viewer, if they want any question, they can unmute themselves and ask if they have any question. Okay, so I think they do not have any question. We don't have any questions, so we can conclude this, Seema. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Thanks all of you for joining us. Thank you, Abhishek.
Thanks. Okay, bye-bye.